Okay, today we're going to touch on some facial shading and how to accomplish this to make a realistic look. I did this photo a few months ago, and this is the original here. Okay, I went ahead and made the adjustment so that the video wouldn't take as long, because it does take a little bit longer to do a lot of facial shading. So after I've made my adjustments, this is what it looks like here. And as you can see these areas that are going to need that shading a little bit easier. And then this is what it looked like when I got finished with it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this first one, that's the original. And I'm going to leave the other one in the background. So, to get started, we're going to go ahead and color his hat and his shirt and his jacket here, because those are going to be the quickest things to do. We're going to go down here and push group, and where it says pass through, you're going to go to soft light, and then you're going to come down here to where this folded piece of paper is and create a new layer. You're going to leave it on normal, and then we're going to go in and we're just going to start coloring. And of course, this is a lot brighter than the color we actually want. See where I got his ear here, so I'm going to go ahead and take that off. So the next thing you're going to do is if you need to adjust the hue or saturation any, you're going to go in and you're going to push the keyboard shortcut Control U, or you can go up here where it says Window. I just usually use the shortcut. So adjustments, it's under Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturations, which is Control U. But I just use the shortcut and pull it up, and this allows you to change the hue and saturation. And I can see where I've missed a few places, and I need to go ahead and fix those before I adjust it. So go ahead and do that. And that's about right. So I'm going to push OK. And I'm going to go ahead and do his other shirt right quick. And I'm just going to do a quick coat. And I could do this any color. It's just, I'm putting something simple there. I don't even remember what I used on the last one. And I could do the same thing and push my Control U shortcut. Pull it back open. And adjust that some. Take the saturation out of it a little bit so it doesn't look as bright. Alright. I'm going to close this group. And I'm actually going to start a new group. That's going to be my skin color group. And I'm going to double tap that, and I'm going to rename it. Okay, now that we've got a group here for skin color, we're going to go ahead and create a new layer. Alright, and we're going to pick something close to his skin color. And as you get older, your skin color seems to lighten through here. You want almost a yellowy shade. And then we're going to just start, well, I forgot to turn that group to soft light. And then we're going to go back to our layer. And then I'm going to just start coloring through. And that's a good base coat. So what we're going to do next is we're going to create another layer. And I'm going to go ahead and do this first. If you'll go down maybe about there in relation to your other color that you used, it's going to be just a little bit darker, and you can go ahead and start shading these areas in. And this is just giving it some depth. And then when I get done, as you can see, I mean, it's a little darker, but it's not really the shade that I want. I'm going to go back and push Control U. And I'm going to adjust this. And I'm going to take this saturation up some. And then down a little bit. Just till it blends real well. And that blends pretty good. So I'm going to push OK. I'm going to choose a new layer. And then I want something a little more in the red tones and the browns. So we could go all the way to a pink. And we could kind of go somewhere in between. And come down just a tad more there. And I don't really like this shade, but I can adjust it once I get done, so I'm not too concerned with it. I'm going to go ahead and paint over everything. Alright, and then when I get all that painted, I can go in and push Control U again, and I can adjust this. Alright, I make another layer, and this will take several layers to achieve what I'm trying to show you how to do, but it will add so much depth. I'll go back to another brown, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to shade this again. Alright, and then I'm going to push Control U. And I'm going to bring this color back up. And that's a good tone there. Lastly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go almost to a yellow shade. About there. Create a new layer. And these light spots, I'm going to go in and touch these. Okay, and then I'm going to push Control U again. And take that up some. Alright. Okay, and then we're going to go in, we're going to do his eyebrows. And I'm going to do him a kind of a brownish black. So I'm going to create another layer. Go into my browns. Go in about there. And I'm going to go up here to the flow. And I'm going to take this flow down. And I'm going to zoom in. And that really just helps. It keeps it from being too bold. Like one real dark line. More like hair would be. Alright, and then I'm going to create another layer. And I'm going to pick something kind of between it, about there. Kind of a goldish color. And again, I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to go in and do his glasses. So I want to take my brush size down quite a bit. About there. Maybe even a little smaller. Let's take it to about a 4. Yeah, that's perfect. And I'm just going to go in and start giving these glasses rims some color, because you know, as most glasses rims have a little bit of color of some sort. And if you think it's a little too bright, which I actually think that looks pretty good myself, but if you did, you could push Control U again and go back in and adjust that as well. So let's create a new layer. Focus on his eyes. We're going to do these blue. Maybe about there. That may be too bright, but we're going to see. So I'm going to go in. Start coloring his eyes. And now I'm going to step back and look. That's actually a little too blue, so I'm going to push the Control U. And I can do one of two things. I can take it and lighten it up here. or I can desaturate it some, or I can even adjust this a little bit. Let me pull it all the way up so I can look. And that's a good color there, so I'm going to leave that. And then I'm going to, because they're almost like a grayish blue, and then I'm going to go in and create another layer. And I'm going to hit up here on this a lot lighter color here. And I'm going to go in. It may not be wide enough. And create almost like a reflection there. And I'm going to adjust that with the Control U. Bring it all the way up so I can see that a little better on both sides. And you can just see a hint of the color change there. I can make it a little more dramatic. But I think that looks pretty good. And I'm going to turn the fill down over here. Just a hair. So it kind of blends. Alright, and I'm actually going to close this group here. And I'm going to go back to my background. And I'm going to create a new layer here. And that new layer I want on a soft light. And I'm going to come in here about there. And make my brush quite a bit bigger. And I'm just going to kind of touch on the apples of his cheeks some to give him a little bit more color. I don't really want to do red because he's a gentleman. And guys don't wear blush. But they do have some other skin colors in. Besides, you know, nobody has all one facial color. So it's good to kind of just blend it in a little bit. And then I'm actually going to take the fill down just a hair. And then we're going to go in and do his lips. And I'm going to put this on normal. I'm going to zoom in. And take my brush size back down. It's still a little bit too big. And I'm just going to start right here at the edge of the mouth. And I'm going to go and push Control U. And I'm just going to darken that a hair. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit lighter, more like a pink. Well, maybe not. Maybe just do a really light red. Maybe about there. Touch on these gums. And then I'm going to fill that down some. I did them on the same layer, so we're going to have to erase that. So we're going to go over here to our eraser, and we're just going to touch right above where that gum line is. So we don't want those on the same layer. Create a new layer. We still got that pink, so we're going to go in. Make sure you put it on soft light, but go in. And then we're going to turn the fill down on that one. And I'm going to do one more layer here. going to do just a little bit darker red. I don't want him to look like he's got lipstick on, but I do want to make sure he's got some color right there and it doesn't just look purple. They tend to do that because of the shading. So I'm going to push Control U, and I'm going to go in and darken that some. Even take some of the saturation out. Maybe even pull it even more, a little bit towards the orange spectrum. And we're going to go out and have a look. Yeah, see, that looks really good. So then I'm going to go back up to his eyes. And you can't really see his waterline real well, but it's there, so I'm going to touch on that a little bit. Get a soft light. Go up here and pick a lighter color. And then just touch this just a hair, because it is there. Okay, and I'm going to turn the saturation up. It looks more orange than pink. I may even adjust the color a little bit. Then I can take the saturation down. And that shows you that water line. One more thing. Make another layer. Soft light. And I'm going to do color about right there. And we're going to just touch right through these eyeballs right here. And I'm going to push Control U again. I'm just going to darken those up some. And then you can go in and you can color the background any color you'd like. I'm going to actually go in and fix this. Actually, I need to flatten it. I'm going to flatten all my layers. And then I'm going to go in, take my brush size down. Which you would normally do this beforehand. But since I wasn't really concerned too much with dots, I just basically wanted to show you some facial shading. That worked out real well. And you can actually see a little bit of his hair here. Create a new layer and deal with that. It's probably going to be a sandy color. As I really have no idea what color his hair is, I'm basically just guessing. And that actually looks pretty good. Here's the other one that I did, which you can tell I spent a lot more time doing different shadings in here than I did on this one. And the more time you put in, the more layers of skin color, the better your picture is actually going to be. And like I said, you can always go back in here, add another layer group, and start in and do some more colorings. I'm going to take my brush size up real quick. Yeah, it's just all about the color you want that skin. And you can do that to your discretion. It's really going to be the artist's choice. I chose, a little more sun-withered look, like maybe he was a farmer or something to that sort. When I did the other one that I did. But like I said, it's all going to be basically up to the artist's discretion. As to what you want your photo to look like. Control U. And adjust that color down. And see, already there we have a little bit more, or a little more closer to what we had here. And I could actually go in and do those shading again. And I think maybe the first time I did this, I went in and actually used a little bit of pink on his cheeks and or the apple cheeks, and that gives him a little bit different shade as well. Control U, and just take that down. But you can tell that this is a lot different than the original that we had and we started out with. And I could even go in and color the background here. Just do it, maybe a green, just to give it a little something different. I could replace that background if I wanted to. There's a lot of different things that you can do to help really set an image apart. You know, it's really all dependent upon the artist and their taste and their style. As you color, you'll get your own style and, you know, find what works for you. And that makes a big difference as to, you know, how your artwork tends to turn out. My style is a little bit darker than some. I like the vibrance of it. I like to see the shades, and I really don't, you know, I try to give a washed out photo a new appearance on most of them. Because of that, I don't do a whole lot of soft coloring, which is like a soft tint, which I can if it's requested by one of our members. But for the most part, my coloring is not as soft as some of the other ones, some of our other artists. And I can even take that green back up. Change the tint. Like I said, it's all about what you're going for. So anyways, this is my tutorial on doing some facial shading with Photoshop. If you have any questions, please just let me know. And I'll try my best to answer any questions that you have, so that we can get you further to where you need to be. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.